Welcome back to the Re-Entry Archive. Complicated fractals and geometric arrangements, a 5-MEO DMT trip report, taken from erowid.org. I have had several attempts before this trying to break through on 5-MEO DMT, although I believe I was approaching the experience in an entirely ineffective way. Set and setting is extremely important with any psychedelic, but it is vital to prepare correctly for a drug with this power. Set. I have been reading enormous amounts of material dealing with spirituality and consciousness. Recently attained employment, and as such I have some money to buy books with. My library has almost doubled in size in the past few weeks. Everything I've been reading has told me that I know the universe. One must destroy the notion of subject-object in order to proceed. Give up yourself. Stop worrying about what's going on around you. Do not think of yourself as distinct from the rest of the world. For in order to see the universe as a whole, one must not divide it into parts. With this and a few weeks of reflection on the subject in my head, I decided I would once again try for breakthrough. I have been making remarkable inroads with meditation and other methods of reflection, and I felt I was finally ready. Setting. In my apartment. I had just rearranged my room. I had taken out the bed because I decided to start sleeping on the floor. I rearranged everything so that the area in which I would rest was the centre of attention. I lit one candle and placed it behind a paper shade with designs. The time was around 6 in the morning. I hung a heavy curtain over the window to block out the light. Except for the flickering candle, the room was near black. Preparation. I sat down, naked, in the middle of the mat. I began meditating. It is relatively easy for me to reach a state of warmth. My hands and feet tingle. My spine and head also tingle. I feel a pressure in my head and hear a metallic hum, similar to that when on nitrous oxide. I believe that this is a product of an increased awareness, not of any drugs. Once I entered this state, I decided it was time to inhale. The experience. I picked up the pipe and made my movements as automatic and subconscious as possible. I had already loaded 10 milligrams of the powder into it, and there was some residue left over from previous attempts. 10 milligrams may seem like a lot to most people, but I had had numerous failed attempts in the past. However, after this experience, I'm going to try lower amounts when I'm ready. I heated the pipe completely, making sure everything was vaporized before I began to inhale. My breathing at this point was very deep and continuous, and I just started inhaling the same sort of breaths through my mouth when I put the pipe to it. Automatic and subconscious. I filled my lungs and interrupted my breathing to hold on to it. I pushed all of the air to the top of my lungs, but as I did that, I started to forget everything. This was rushing me much faster and harder than ever before. I barely remembered to drop the pipe before I entered the orbit, and within a second after I set it down, I left the physical world, and time lost all meaning. Suddenly, my vision exploded with the most complicated fractals and geometric arrangements as can be imagined. These did not seem to last long, or perhaps I stopped paying attention. Either way, I was no longer seeing anything. I had entered a space devoid of vision, sound, and tactile sensations. I was no longer thinking. I was locked into the experience. I realised that I was finally experiencing reality in its entirety. Gone were the karmic worries of my everyday life. Gone was the sense of, this is who I am. See, I'm different. I was one with the universe. I was the universe. I don't know how long I was in this space, but when I returned, I immediately resumed meditation. It was very hard for me to focus on my breath. My mind was absolutely racing. I thought mostly of how I would describe this experience to others. Language is too dualistic to describe accurately what I felt. I had burning pains in both of my shoulders, but I dismissed it as effects of the chemical. I continued to see very colourful and complex visions, consisting mostly of geometric clamshells and flowers, which opened up over and over again to reveal a blinding white light that persisted in everything I saw. I lay down and decided to sleep and began relaxation techniques. I'm not aware of how much time passed between inhalation and now, but I felt my body slipping away from my consciousness as I entered sleep. As if no time had passed, I opened my eyes and got up and went to the bathroom. My shoulders were still burning and I checked them in the mirror. I had scratches all over my back and a huge gash in my left deltoid. Rather alarmed, I went back into the room to see what had happened, and the mirror beside my bed was shattered. My body must have collapsed when I entered that space. I bandaged and cleaned the wound and checked the clock. It was 9 a.m. Only 3 hours had passed since I dosed, and I'd been blessed with the most sacred experience of my life. Enlightenment through a chemical catalyst. This experience has been almost all I could think about since it happened. My meditation has gone much easier since, and I reach a level of awareness I wasn't attaining before. I can now see why people do not want to do this often, as my urge has disappeared. I will return someday, when I'm ready. I am anxious now to experience salvinorin A and DMT. My life feels so good now. Not that it was bad before. This is another very clear example of ego death, in which the hero is stripped of their identity in order to be remade. The ability to orient in time, body, and story collapses as the ego loses its scaffolding. This is classic ego death territory. The separation between subject and object is erased. The ego's central job is to mediate this distinction, so when it dies, only undivided awareness remains. This is the mythical death of the hero figure as they fall into the underworld. The I is sacrificed to the glimpse of the self. The traveller also had a profound encounter with the void. The great womb, or the dark night archetype, symbolises both source and abyss, fertile emptiness and existential threat. The void tests whether a traveller can rest in non-being without panic. This is the void, not just silence, but the collapse of all content. No body, no world, no thought. It's not filled with fractals, colours or light. It is emptiness itself. However, the void isn't nothing in a nihilistic sense. It is everything before division, a womb-like source. In mystical traditions, this is the unmanifest ground, or the plenum void. Archetypally, the void is both the cosmic abyss and the Great Mother. It carries both the terrifying prospect of annihilation and fertile promise of rebirth. Upon re-entry here, the traveller returns carrying a scar. The physical wounds and the broken mirror serve as perfect metaphors for re-entry. The world looks different, and the self is literally and symbolically altered. After a powerful peak, you can often get the feeling that the medicine has done its job. The pathway towards integration opens up, and the compulsion to chase further peak experiences drops. This is the hero's return phase. It is the understanding that insight now must be translated into life before any further adventure.